all the unique characters.
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legacy.
All the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 108 of Forged in Ohio. My name is Jake Murren, and I'm the host of the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed the holiday season. I know I'm a week later than I was supposed to be, but I'm sure last week's major announcement of Forged in Ohio merch made up for it. If you haven't already, check out the store. Links to the store for Forged in Ohio merch are on our Instagram and Facebook social media channels at Forged in Ohio. But we are officially back in 2025 on a weekly basis, so let's not waste any more time and introduce today's guest. And I kind of feel like a fool that this is episode 108 of Forged in Ohio, because this man should have been on the show 2 years ago, if I'm being honest. As a fighter, he's 13-7 in his pro career. He's coming off a unanimous decision win on December 7th, and he's the second-ranked pound-for-pound pro fighter in the state of Ohio. But that's not all, as he's the head coach at Route 250 Martial Arts. It's Andrew the Gavel Law. Thanks for coming on the show, Andrew, and welcome to Forged in Ohio.
Thanks for having me on, Jake. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, of course, as am I, and I'm excited to finally get you on Forged in Ohio. So let's, I guess, start with December 7th, Future of Fighting 5, where you picked up win number 13 in your 20th pro fight. How happy are you with that performance and the main event win?
Yeah, I love fighting, man, and the win felt good, and I was super happy with the way that I fought that night, and that's, I'm always proud of myself, win or lose, but that was pro fight number 20, and I finally, everything that I wanted to do, I did, and it was all intentional, and it's just like, I always feel like I'm getting better too, and that's like, so that fight, it followed the trend. That felt like the best version of me to fight to date, and then I also feel like from that I can still do better yet,
Is there no better feeling as a mixed martial artist? Because I know all fighters are perfectionists to a certain extent. So is there no better feeling when you go out there and I guess everything does come together the way it's supposed to, everything you've trained and camp and whatnot? Is there no better feeling when all that really does come to fruition on fight night?
Yeah, man, it feels great, but that's like sometimes like when it's not working out and you still battle through, like they all have their own feeling, and it's like it always feels great like when a fight's over and just like the stress of it's done regardless of the outcome, but like the high of winning is something insane, and it's definitely you feel humbled, man, on nights where you're fighting a tough dude and you prepared well and you ate good, thought good things, and it all just did come together for you on that night, because it's so easy for it not to, man. It's actually like, I think it's not that you're ever like expecting like a bad night or to have an off night, but it's like that situation is special, when it all comes together and it works for you. So that's like, it's definitely one of the better feelings, but that's winning and competing just in general is such it's a rush, man. Win or lose, like it's the lowest low or the highest high, and for sure, like when it's just meant to be, man, it's the best feeling in the world.
Your opponent was a tough dude, Brandon Bell, who was super experienced in his own right, but had lost 6 of his last 7 fights to that point. Did you feel like you had the upper hand in this one, and how confident were you walking to the cage that night?
Yeah, I never really feel like the underdog or the overdog, like especially at like this point in the game. And that's like, he was an experienced guy and he was a Bellator veteran. He definitely like had like a rough patch, you know, and then he had come back and won. And that's like, I guess like in recent terms, he was the one coming off a win. I was the one coming off a loss even. And that's like, man, you don't like MMA math isn't anything that ever maths, you know, like it doesn't add up, it doesn't subtract. And that's like, I always train hard and I always am prepared to fight hard, regardless of the opponent, you know, and that's, I actually made the mistake of like, I was watching the Future of Fighting stories, you know, seeing if they were hyping up my fight, and they were hyping up Brandon Bell's weightlifting, man, because I like watched like 2 weeks before we were going to fight him deadlifting 505 pounds for 5 and bench pressing 370 pounds. Like, oh no, dude, this is the guy that I'm about to fight.
I mentioned how this was your 20th pro fight. What does that milestone and I guess longevity too mean to you?
Yeah, it's a cool milestone, man. It really is, and that's like, and any time that I can compete is special, and it is they're all important, and that's like number 20 is cool because, like I said, all it does is I'm a veteran of this sport, and this is a very hard sport, and the fact that I'm able to have a winning record even at this point, man, like that's a huge accomplishment. Being a professional fighter is a huge accomplishment. And then to have a winning record versus tough guys, man, it's hard. It's definitely something that I am proud of. And like I said earlier, though, I'm proud of myself every time that I fight. Just to put yourself on the line, man, is a scary and very dangerous and formidable thing. Like there's a lot of things that can happen to you in fights, and that's the longer you fight, you see those bad things that can happen, and you become like in tune and in touch with them. And it I don't want to say the sport becomes more dangerous, you know, because it's just as dangerous, but before like you're a veteran and you fought these freaking wars, man, and you know what the consequences of it. So that's to still be alive in this sport at this point, man. I'm happy, and I'm glad to still be doing it and still coaching my guys too, you know, because I do love this sport. I love martial arts.
Have you always had that super appreciative mindset when it comes to mixed martial arts, or did it take some time in your career to say, hey, I'm okay with potentially a loss just because I made it in there and I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish, or have you always been that way?
I definitely haven't always been this way. And that's, it wasn't really mixed martial arts that gave me this mindset. I kind of was able, I started fighting with this mindset because I've done judo for my entire life, and my dad had me learning as soon as I could stand up, and competing in it as soon as I was able to compete, which like the minimum age was 6 years old. So from 6 years old on, I was like, my dad would always challenge me, you know, and that's like when I started beating all the other 6-year-olds, I started to then fight the 6-year-olds and fight the 7-year-olds. So it's like I didn't get to be like, all right, I'm doing good here. It's like, okay, yep, you're doing good here, so we're gonna challenge you up there. So that's like people ask me like my judo record all the time. Like that's something that I could even have like track of, you know. And it's like I've probably lost a couple hundred times between competitive judo and stuff like that. So it's like losing just becomes like something that happens, man, and then you're never really like a loser, you know. It's just like you try again next time, and that's history has always shown me that if I just get back on the horse, no matter what, I'll go on to win again for sure, and most definitely probably lose again, you know. That's just kind of the way that it is. It's how life works, and martial arts is a part of life.
Was that something you were instantly hooked to at 6 years old, getting into combat sports and getting into judo?
Definitely always loved judo, especially because it's something that my dad and I have shared for my entire life and still do, you know. That's like I just had my 20th professional fight, and he still sits in my corner and tells me when I'm not quite doing things the way that he would do them, you know? I definitely, even with wrestling too, because I wrestled for a very long time, they're very tough sports, you know, especially for kids, and to like make a lifelong career out of doing martial arts and fighting sports, like it's something that you learn to love, especially as a kid. Like I don't know that it's anything necessarily that you love as a child, because there's these huge lessons in combat sports, and especially in fighting itself, and it's like you don't even know what you're learning when you're a kid, you know. You have this feeling that like going out and fighting another kid is terrifying, you know. You feel that, and then you know that it sucks because you feel bad when you lose to the other kid, and then you know you feel so good when you beat the other kid, and it's like it doesn't make sense to you though, you know. So that's like I think once you learn to like love and appreciate those lessons then that you're learning, and you truly develop as like an adult, then you have this appreciation for the winning and losing and the martial arts that you've done. And that's like, I teach martial arts too, so I have a bunch of adults that come in all the time, and they're like, man, this sport saved me, or this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I love the shift that has happened to me in this. And it's like I don't like know the feeling that those guys have where they come in and they just fall in love with this sport because it's helping them and it's teaching them all these things. It's just because like I didn't really have like the choice in it, you know. I struggled through everything in judo and wrestling, and even my mixed martial arts career. Like I fought my way through all of those lessons to get to this point where like I truly love my path that I've traveled, and the path that I am traveling still. Like I love where I'm at and where I've been, you know, and the future seems just as bright moving forward.
Yeah, I love that outlook on the sport. And when it comes to having a background in MMA, yours is actually in judo, which I feel like isn't nearly as common as wrestling or boxing, right? So can you talk about how having a judo base has actually worked to your advantage in the 15 years that you've been competing in mixed martial arts?
Yeah, and that's I was definitely a judo specialist, I guess, in the sport of mixed martial arts, but I got plenty of friends that are like way better at judo than I am. So that's like, I'm lucky to have them because they keep me doing my best judo. And honestly, when I'm doing my best judo, I'm fighting my best too. And that's I think especially early on as an amateur, like having just this it's not like I just did judo for 20 years or whatever. Whenever I started fighting, like I had competed at a really high level in judo, so I was super familiar with like what it felt like to go one-on-one. And like I said, my dad would have me fighting above my weight class, above my age limit. And I like, even at 13 years old, he started having me fight the adults because I was beating all the kids that were locally, and he wanted to challenge me, you know. So that's like honestly forget where we were going because I got off topic with that.
No, you're good. Just how like your judo base has helped
Has
you
played,
work to your
has
advantage
helped.
here in
Yeah.
MMA. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. So I guess that was the point I was making. So I was already super comfortable in this like environment that it is really uncomfortable, man. So like that alone was a super big advantage. And then the skill set of judo, definitely, because that's like, before I actually even knew MMA or how to fight, I was really just a judo guy doing MMA. So like I kind of had to figure out how to make my judo work in mixed martial arts. And then from there I started to learn how to be an MMA fighter. And that's it was the same in wrestling. And I tell my guys all the time too, because they struggle with like throwing like me or Brogan. And it's like, man, like the other guys that do this sport, nobody does judo like we do judo. There is other people that do it and learn it, and it is a little more common now. But it's like other guys that don't do judo are way easier to throw than guys that do judo. So it's like my first win as an amateur was actually my second amateur fight, and it was hilarious because like he was tougher and stronger and bigger than me, man. And I just kept using my judo to get the win. I just threw him for 9 minutes straight, you know? So it's something that I definitely relied on for all of my career. Even in my last fight, my 20th fight, I hit a nice, beautiful judo throw that helped turn the tide of the fight kind of in my direction and start sending it the way that I wanted it to go. So it's something that I definitely relied on hardcore early on, but even here, you know, current part, modern day fighter Andrew, judo's built into my tool belt as a fighter, regardless of how good I get at other things. Like I still kind of always go back to what I'm best at.
Talking with Andrew the Gavel Law here on Forged in Ohio. So I know you've been asked a lot about this 4-year layoff in your career from 2019 to 2023, but why weren't you fighting at a time where a lot of fighters are typically at their physical prime?
Right. Yeah. Like I said, man, this is a gnarly sport, and the more successful you are in this sport, like when you're winning fights and you're beating tough guys, like it just keeps going up from there. So you're just fighting tough guy, and then you beat a tough guy, so you fight a tougher guy, and then you beat that tougher guy, and then now you're fighting a tougher guy yet than that. And I was like super active early on in my career of mixed martial arts, but that's, like I said, like I'd been competing in combat sports for literally my entire life, even up to that. So that's just like 30 30 years of accumulative damage, you know. And I was on like a 5-fight winning streak. I was on a 7-fight win streak when I lost that and took some time off. I had a lot of like accumulative injuries that I really had never let properly heal, man, and they would bug me constantly. And so I had intended after losing like to take a little bit of time off, and then I ended up starting Route 250, and that's like I kind of got just so focused and into this zone where I had like these guys that were coming in and paying to have me teach them how to fight, and I got really into that, man. And that's like, as a fighter, I never thought that I'd love coaching as much as I do now. And that's like, it really just kind of let it take me over. And that's like, I had already, like I told my, I never thought that I was done fighting, you know. It's just like, I guess it's one of those things where like time can pass just like in no time, you know, like you blink and 4 years have passed, and it's like you got your guys bugging you, especially Brogan, like, you ever gonna friggin' fight again, man? Like I want to watch you fight. And I had a ton of other dudes then at that point that like they had come to me as a coach, but they didn't really even know fighter Andrew. Like Brogan was one of the only dudes that I had that knew who fighter Andrew was. Everybody else just kind of knew coach Andrew. So it was one of those things. It was now or never, you know. So just like, all right, I don't feel like I'm done fighting. So I guess it's time to start fighting again, because it's one of those sports where it's hard, man. It's tough. It's hard on your body, and like I said, I intended to take a break from it just to kind of recover. And it's like the longer you spend away from it, you don't hurt and you don't feel the way that you do when you're kind of mixed up in it, because it's a tough and grueling sport that requires a lot of commitment, man, and it requires a lot of just your life in general. Like you give so much to it when you're doing it, and then when you finally take a step away from it, it's kind of hard to want to jump back into that, especially knowing what it is, man. That's like, when I took a break, I was 11-5, so I was 16 professional fights already at that point, and I just won 7 straight fights, and I had the UFC telling me, we're here, man, we are watching you for the second time in my career. Like I had to win 7 in a row to get them to look at me again, and then I ended up losing that fight, you know. So it was kind of, I wasn't deflated. It just, like I said, it's like, okay, it was one of those things where take some time and think about what you want to do, and I did, and then I ended up Route 250 kind of became what I was doing, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I was going to ask about that, because what I found so interesting about the layoff was you had won a career best 7 fights in a row prior to that loss, and then the layoff, of course. So it sounds like you actually were pretty close there to reaching the UFC or a big stage in the sport. Just how close were you to potentially becoming Andrew Law, the UFC fighter?
Yeah, man, I feel like I've lived my entire life close to being UFC fighter Andrew Law. I think there's some luck involved in it, and that's like and it's obviously it's skill, it's timing, it's a lot of things coming together for you, just like anything, man. But that's like even my wife, they know who you are, and it's like I do, because that's early on in my pro career. I gotten to a point I was 4-1, so I had a really nice like novice pro record, like starting really good on a win streak at the time. So the UFC was they were watching my next fight that I would have, and actually like I lost that fight, but it was to like a Bellator Strikeforce veteran, 3-round, really close fight that I was kind of winning and just got caught. And it's like, so even after that fight, it's like, okay, so like we're still watching you, man. Like win this fight, and then I ended up losing that fight. So I'm now 4-3 on a 2-fight losing streak. So the UFC kind of forgot about who I was. I actually tried out for the Ultimate Fighter that year. I was 4-3, and I did really well in the grappling portion, which was the first portion of tryouts, and they nixed me right away. And it's because they knew who I was. I was Andrew Law. I was on a 2-fight losing streak, and they were not interested in me, man. And then the funny thing is I went on to fight again, like to straight up Andrew Law, like no lack or enthusiasm loss at all. So fight again and lose, man. So I am now 4-4 on a 3-fight losing streak. Like, dude, these guys are, and that I really did. Like I needed to take a look at why is this happening right now, and is this still what I want to try to accomplish? Is this something that I want to do? And if it is, I need to figure it out, man. I need to put it together, and I need to make it happen. And then it did. It took winning 7 fights in a row before they're like, all right, man, we see you again, win this one, and you're right there. And wouldn't you know it, I could not pull it off, man. It just did not. It wasn't meant to be. It didn't happen. It was actually a really tough 5-round fight that I did lose, and it was very close. I had myself winning that fight at the end of it, like the end of 5 rounds, the decision. I was super confident that I had won that fight 4 rounds to 1, and even watching it back, it's a very close competitive fight. There's no way that I lost a majority of the rounds in that fight, and that's one of those things where it's just like, and that kind of played into me like taking a step back too, is the fact like I did everything that I was supposed to do, man. I won this fight, but I didn't, and now one more time I'm in the past. I've missed that opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like everything happens for a reason. In hindsight, I guess that's easy to say because back then, when you're so close, you have people saying that the UFC is watching you and then you lose these fights. I'm sure that was really hard on you back then. But I guess in hindsight, like maybe if that didn't happen, maybe you win those fights, you become a UFC fighter. Maybe Route 250 doesn't even exist. So I guess in hindsight, are you happy with how everything played out?
I'm happy and proud of myself and the route that I've been traveling and continue to travel, man. I strongly believe that everything does happen for a reason, and that's I've always felt that way. And I mean, the way you see any situation is how it's going to be, man. So like a tough situation, a bad situation, a good situation, it's all what you make of it. And if you are able to like be appreciative in the moment of what you do have, man, and never kind of lose sight of the good things in your life, because they usually are always plentiful, even whenever it seems like they're not there, and it's you keep the faith, man, in everything that you do.
Coming off the win last month on December 7th, do you have a time frame of potentially when you'd like to get back in there for pro fight number 21?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be 37 this year, and that was pro fight number 20. actually had gotten an offer for a title fight for Future of Fighting, and they wanted me to turn around and fight in March. And it was a good opponent, man. It was a good matchup, and it's just like it. I have a lot of things kind of going on with work right now, and that's like the point I am at in my career, man. It's like I honestly I have fights left in me, and I strongly feel like they are in fact my best fights to date, man. So that's like I liked the fight and I wanted the fight, but like this isn't everything that I do. That's like fighting unfortunately doesn't pay all of my bills. So like I have a large amount of responsibility with my day job too, and that's like I have some things that I kind of need to handle with that. And that's I also kind of learned because I had a super active year this year. Like I was 2-1 on the year, so I had 3 fights, and then in the last 18 months I've had 4 fights, and I haven't been that busy since 2016. And I am almost 37. I'm not 27 and 30 anymore. So it's like I had a couple fights where I had fought like 3 months apart, and I didn't. It wasn't it. Like I didn't recover it mentally or physically. Like I did. I was able to put in and that's like I lost the Cody Jones fight, and that was the one that had a 3-month span. And I don't think the fact that it was only 3 months, and I've won these ones that have had like 6 months in between. It's just because like I had recouped mentally and physically, and then was able to put in another like full training camp. Where fighting Cody kind of felt super rushed, man. And even though it was 3 months, and that's like when I was 21, first started fighting, man, I fought 6 or 7 times in the first 12 months as an amateur. And it's like if I fight twice a year, I think that's good, because I think the 3 that I fought this last year was too much, dude. That wasn't it.
When it comes to your future as a fighter, are we taking this on a fight-by-fight basis? Do you have an age cutoff? Maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's your body telling you. What, if anything, will decide when it's time to call it a career?
Yeah, honest to God, man, like when I first started fighting, I would have already been done. Like I said, I'd be 37. I would have been done 2 years ago, retired, off fighting, not going to my day job as a plumber, having like a world champion belt that I sat on my couch with all the time. But that's what's fun about it, man, is it doesn't always go as planned, and that's how you get to have the experiences that you do have. I don't have any specific goals in fighting really anymore. I love to fight, man, and that's I do. Like I said, I feel like I have my best fights in front of me. Like I haven't fought the best version of me yet. I've always just fought as better versions. I guess so. Like the short answer is yeah, it's a fight by fight kind of thing. I'm at this age and like experience level where like I want fights that I want to fight. I want to fight fights that I want to fight when I want to fight them. So it's like if I get an offer for a fight, like yeah, I like this fight, and it happens to be at the same time I'm like, yeah, I want to fight. Then I'll fight, and if that isn't it, that isn't it. That's everybody always asks, is this your last fight? Was that your last fight? Yeah, that was my last fight until there's another fight. That was the last fight.
Well, as a fan and, of course, media member of Ohio MMA, I certainly don't want that time to come anytime soon. I'm just curious, though, what do you want to be remembered for when it does come to an end in terms of your mixed martial arts career?
Man, I think it's dude, I'm already like farther than like I thought. Like, man, people I always wanted to be the best, dude. Like that was always the goal. And it was such an like it wasn't specific enough, like I was never detailed enough in what I wanted to accomplish, man. I wanted to be the best, and that's such a subjective freaking thing, to be the best, man, the greatest of all time. I've had certain nights that I've felt that it didn't matter who the opponent in front of me was, dude. I those were the nights that I could have been a world champion with no questions. It's just that some of them happened in Akron, Ohio. Some of them happened in Louisville, Kentucky, or wherever I was fighting at the time, not on the UFC stage versus the quote unquote best guy in the world at the time, Um, and man, I got sidetracked again. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I
Just
get to
what do you want to be remembered for in MMA?
remember that. There we go. I already feel like I'm remembered and thought of more than more than I should be, dude. So that's like I'm good. They think I'm the best fighter in the state right now, or the second best overall, the best in my weight class, and yada yada yada. You know, that's it's humbling, man, to like people call me a legend, and it's just like, man, I'm Andrew, and that's like I love the fact that I've been able to do something that I love for such a significant chunk of my life, and that I've been appreciated for it, you know, and like had people like actually follow me, and it's like it's wild. Like I have this like fan base, and this people have watched me my whole career, and some of them I don't even know, man. I've never met, and they ride or die for me, you know, just in this sport. And it's an accumulation of, because it's not like I was like superstar, undefeated, fast track, straight to the top. Like I have losses, man. I've battled through my career, and I've always had just these people behind me, no matter what, man. And then it's like I don't know if it's just like I I'll always push, you know, like it's everything that I want, and I think that that's something that people like they like and they get behind, and it's just dude, I've done everything that I this is it, man. This is the dream. I live my best life every single day, dude. So that's like if eventually, no matter what I do, like I'm gonna fade off into oblivion. So for right now, people think that I am something, and that's wonderful, man. Because like I got some guys underneath me in this sport that really can be something. So that's what I'd like to see happen. Then is them be remembered for something. If I end up being Coach Andrew, you know, cool. Like I'll be the footnote guy for what these other guys do. And it's like that's kind of the point as me for coaching, dude, is I fought for a long time to like kind of like hack this path, dude. And it's like I've done a good job. I'm proud of myself. Like I set a super high bar for my guys to aim at, and that's what I wanted, dude. And that's like I can hopefully spare them like things that took me so long to kind of get down and get to, you know, and like I'm able to guide them through those moments and navigate them kind of to these upper levels that like I was always that close to touching, you know, man. And it's like, so you guys will be able to tell me one day what that feels like.
Once again, this is Andrew the Gavel Law here on Forged in Ohio. Let's get into Route 250 Martial Arts, your gym, of course, in New Philadelphia. Were you always interested in opening a gym, and what actually brought you to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always taught judo. My dad had me teaching like kids classes and stuff like that as a teenager. It's just like it's what you do as a martial artist. Like if you want your martial art to continue, like you need to teach it, man. You need to share it so that somebody else can continue to pass it on. And that's like I never really thought that I'd be like a coach. I had always kind of like helped some people out. Like I'd always trained, you know, and I always kind of trained the way that I like to train. And that's like when I finally did start a gym, like it was cool because I kind of always had what I wanted, which was a gym full of welterweights to train with, training the way that I want to train. But it's like those guys didn't know how to fight at the same level that I did, you know. So it's like and I'm talking like Brogan and now like even Hunter, man. Those guys they're so good, man. And this is a tough sport, and that's to the fact that I didn't fight for as long as I did because I was into coaching that much. And that's like even this year as fighting, like I had a good year and I had a successful year as a professional fighter myself, which is exciting and feels good. My team we had a good year, but we had a tough and honest year, you know. And that's like with me competing, I think it does good for my guys. Like it's nice for them to see me training and pushing and the things that I do. And it's like when I'm telling them to do something and they're not doing it, but then they watch me go out and literally do the things that, guys, this is it. This is what I'm telling you. This is what you need to do. This is what makes these things happen. And they see it work in real time for me. It definitely does make them want to go back and do that then, but then they kind of miss out on me as a coach a little bit, because it's a hard thing to balance, is coaching and fighting. And that's like, like I said, I had a really good year. I'm happy with myself, but I've really missed kind of coaching my guys and being able to help see them through and guide them through the things that they are. And that's like, I'm still cornering them, like I'm still with them when they're fighting and all that. But it's like, I usually hand things over to Ben, who takes over that, and they get good training. They get the same training that I get, but they don't have my voice and my guidance through like all of the scenarios that they're dealing with, man. Because there's so many things in this sport. There's so many different lessons and levels and steps and things that are going to happen and might happen and need to happen. And that's like, I never thought that I'd want to be a coach first. I always thought that I'd be a fighter first, coach second. I really am. I love to have this gym, man, because it's definitely a flip flop now. I'm a coach first. I'm a fighter second, and that's like the only reason I kind of came back to fighting is because my guys wanted to watch me fight. And it's like, this isn't me saying that I'm gonna not fight again, but they're gonna have to, like I said, there's a lot of things they're gonna have to line up, and they're gonna have to convince me that it's the right thing. I want to go back to focusing on what they're able to accomplish, because I've done a lot, man, and I've had my opportunities. And it's not that I don't think that I wouldn't ever have my opportunities again. I tell my guys all the time that you're always just two fights away from where you want to be, or 2 wins, and it works for anything, man. Like, I use myself as an example. If I were to fight and win 2 more times, man, then I'm on a 3-fight win streak. I'm 15-7 as a professional fighter. Things are really looking good again, and that's like, would I get a UFC opportunity? Possibly. And they have a very solid, stable record, and I have beaten some really tough fighters. And even Brogan and Hunter right now are the same kind of thing, man. They're both 500, which is something that's happened to me in my career. They both now experience kind of losing streaks, which again is something you got to battle through it, man. If this is what you want to do, is something that you're going to experience. It's going to happen. And that's like both of them. If they 2 wins, man, Hunter's back. He's 4-2 on a 2-fight win streak, man. He's doing pretty good, man. Same thing with Brogan, and then if that ain't quite it, then so 2 more wins, dude. So now you're on a 4-fight win streak, and you've got this much more separation, and people kind of stop thinking about what happened, and they're thinking about what's happening currently.
Yeah, I find that balance between fighting and coaching so interesting, because there are examples at the highest level of this sport showing that it might not work out as well. And I love how you explained how fighting is almost more of a coaching lesson to your fighters as well. It sounds like it's something that you struggle with internally more than your fighters do. They might want you to fight more than you actually do yourself.
I'm absolutely sure that they do, man. That's Brogan, especially. He's somebody that wants everybody fighting all the time, and that's like, it's been fun for me, because I've even like gotten to fight on the same cards as guys, and that's like that's a different experience for me too, to kind of just be like, especially on those nights, like literally just a teammate, man, not a coach. And that is something that I struggle with for sure, because it's like, especially when I fought Julian, I fought with Brogan, and I fought, which was honestly one of the coolest things ever for me, because Brogan's more like a little brother to me. I've known him since he was 6 years old. He's done judo. We work together every single day. So that felt like something just like 20 some years in the making, man. But that's like, when he lost, it was like, I wanted to coach him, but I still had to fight, man. So it's like, you fight this like battle where it's like, it's not that you don't care, but it's just that you have something else to focus on still. And that's like, it's definitely a different kind of feeling, but that's kind of what fighting is, and getting ready anyways. You compartmentalize these non-important things at the time. And it's like, it sucks to say, like, my best friend, my little brother, losing a fight in front of my eyes is not an important thing, but at that moment for me, it's super significant, man, because it's not what I have to focus on. I need to focus on what's happening in front of me, which is my fight, man, my safety, my well-being, my performance, and that is what's important at that moment. So making that separation is a tricky friggin' thing, man. And that's like I'm able to do it, and that's but that's, I think it's, like I said, it's just what getting ready for a fight is anyway, is putting away those distraction kind of things. And it sucks when the distraction is that, so that's like it's definitely more beneficial for me to fight on a night where I'm the only fighter, and then that's like that way I don't have something else that I'm trying to fight against, man, besides myself and my opponent. It keeps me from having to deal with that.
Now, covering the sport for the last couple of years, I know Route 250 has experienced a lot of highs and a lot of lows, whether it be a bad stretch, a bad night, or everything seems to be clicking and firing at the right time. How do you make sure as a coach to not get caught up in the highs and lows of being a coach in mixed martial arts?
I think something that helps a lot, man, is the fact that dude, I deal with them. That's my life, dude. I've experienced the highs and I've experienced the lows. So, and like I said earlier, it's just, what are you willing to do next? One of my favorite quotes in the entire world, and it's, the winner and the loser are in the same position after a fight. Both need to decide what to do next, man. And that's like, so it doesn't matter, you won, you lost, it's over. So what is the next thing that you're going to do? Because that's the important thing. And I think that it definitely helps for them to see me deal with winning and losing. You win a fight, man, it feels great. Be fucking humble, be happy, enjoy the fact that it all came together for you. Because if you lose, and everybody on my team know, if and when you lose, man, it sucks. You just got beat. You put all this preparation in, and then it fell apart right in front of you, man. And that's regardless, of they watch me get back up every single time, and then I don't give them the opportunity to sulk, because it's all what you do next. It's all preparation for the next thing, man. The past is the past, and what are you going to do with that? Win or lose, man. That's like, just because you win doesn't mean that you got it down, and you have the secret recipe and it's figured out and it's going to work that way every single time, dude. It's always back to work. You train hard, you try your best, and you do it again if that's what you choose to do, or you stop. Those are your choices, win or lose after a fight. So doesn't matter, because I've had guys that win fights and they walk away, never see them again. That did it for them. And then I've seen guys lose and never come back, and then I've statistically always, man, I've done my best work on the heels of some of my worst losing streaks, So it's what you let happen to you. And that's the way that I teach them. That's the way that I train them. And that's kind of the atmosphere of our gym, dude. Be happy and appreciative that you get to do something that you love with these people that love doing it with you. That's the success in it. And then if you win, be happy, man. And if you lose, be happy that you tried too, especially if you gave it your best. And if you didn't, that's just, so what happened then, man? So what do you do next from here?
Man, that's some great wisdom from a great coach here on Forged in Ohio. Overall, just how rewarding have the last several years been of running Route 250, and of course seeing that growth in everyone in that building?
It's awesome, man. And that's, Brogan already had a couple fights whenever I had Route 250 started. He had trained at Victory mixed martial arts with me and done judo with me my whole life. So that's but to have guys come in fresh, no fighting at all. And even him, man, because I said, he might have only had one or two fights even at coming into Route 250, and he just had his 8th professional fight, and he's had some solid wins, man, and some good success. And that's it's awesome to see everybody all the time get better, man. And that's I love my gym, and my guys are awesome. We have a really good group. I've trained at a lot of different places in my life, and it's what you're learning and who's teaching you, like that is important, and that is definitely significant too. But like the atmosphere is as well, because it's like you could be learning from the best person to ever teach, man, but if you're training with a bunch of people that you don't enjoy in an environment that isn't conducive for you, like it, dude, it doesn't matter. So like the environment in general plays such a big role at our gym, and that, so we're kind of all, we get better together then, you know. So that's like, and it's the same for me, like when I fight, like I'm able to elevate then what we're doing at my level, and then that's what I teach these guys. Then it is like, it's not like I'm, everybody needs to go through the steps, and they need to be built into the fighter that they are and are going to become. And that's like, I kind of just have like these like, all right, this is what you're dealing with, this is kind of, this is what needs to happen, this is what you need to figure out, this is what you need to do different. And then to like see those things, and it's like I'm relaying my experience, so it's like to see these things kind of jump these guys, you know, and then like watch it work. It's that's everything, man. It's like it's more satisfying than like it happening for me. And that's like, I get way more even like amped and excited when my guys fight than when I fight. When I fight, I dude, it's easy, man. This is what I've done my whole life. I'm good at doing this. I'm always prepared to do this, and it's happening to me. And that's like, I hate watching my guys in there. Not that I hate it, I love it. You know, it's my favorite thing to do is watch them fight and help guide them through fighting and navigate them through the things that are happening. But it sucks when they're on the tough end of it, the losing end of it. But that's, you know, that's part of this, you know, that's something that can happen to your best friends and these students that you have, that you're trying to save and protect and guide. And it's like you're watching your little brother underneath some guy that's tough as can be, man, because he's tough as can be, and he's taking these nasty elbows to the head. It's like it's hard to watch that. It's not discouraging, disheartening, because that's, dude, we know what this sport is. I train these guys in what this sport is. I don't train them to we lose, you know, but I don't train them to lose, man. I train them to fight, and then that's, it is what it is from there. And I love the same for me when it comes together, because I watch them train hard all the time. And when it comes together and they get to have a successful night, and the guy that they fought, them especially, they're both safe, man, that's the most important thing. And then again, it's what you do next. And then hopefully that's progress. And then even if it's a step back, sometimes it's 2 steps back to propel yourself forward, dude. That's like fighting in life, dude. It's not a straight line up, regardless of how badly you want it to be. It is that way for some people, but for a majority of us, there's a lot of ups and downs. And I'm proud of my guys the same I'm proud of me, you know, just for trying, dude, for giving your absolute best effort for as long as you possibly can. And that's what I love seeing out of them, you know. Because I'm somebody, I understand off night, man. And that's like, I know when you were well prepared and you were feeling good and it just didn't happen. It's like, I know what all these feelings are. So that's like, it's cool because like I can share it with them. Like they don't gotta like have this burden of failure on just them. And that's like, when they win, it's cool because I can just let them experience this wonderful feeling, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And it's been an honor to have some of your guys, Hunter Watt many times, Garrett Hirschberger, and Nick Lute on Forged in Ohio in the past. And now, of course, Route 250's head coach, Andrew Law, as well. Before we wrap up, man, I just want to give you the chance to shout out any sponsors, social media handles, really anything you want here at the back end of the show. I'll give you the floor.
Right on. I think the social media thing has always been one of my like Achilles heels of not quite making it as far as I probably should have in this sport. And that is something that I tell my guys all the time too, man, is like, you got to be good at fighting. You got to be an interesting and unique individual. And that's like, I feel those are all things that I am, you know, and my guys are too. And it's just like, completely be yourself. But like, there's a lot of like popularity. Like I tell Hunter and I tell Brogan and I tell Garrett, like, man, you need you need these platforms because you need for people to know who you are, and you need them to know when you're doing well if you want to make it to those next spots. So I don't have a lot of shout outs, man. I'm not somebody I've got the most wonderful people in my life, dude, between my gym, my family, my wife, my friends, dude, and that's what the biggest blessing is they've always been here for me. And some of them since the beginning of my life, and some of them more recent, but it's like, man, I appreciate everybody that's in my life, dude. And we would be here for another however long if I tried to name them all, and I would forget somebody. They'd be like, man, what about me? I love y'all, and you know that.
All right, well, thanks again, Andrew, for joining me on the show. It was incredibly long overdue, and I really, really enjoyed this. I'm sure you've tuned in to some of your own fighters on the show and likely know that I do the OHIO chant to finish each episode. So if you could help me out here, OH. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate the time. Congrats on your most recent win and the success of Route 250. And I can't wait to see what this year has in store for both you as a fighter and as a coach.
Thank you, man. I'm excited for the same.
That was Andrew the Gavel Law, the 13-7 professional mixed martial artist and head coach of Route 250 Martial Arts. And what a way to kick off 2025 for Forged in Ohio. That was incredible stuff from a fighter who has done so much in his career and has given back so much in his career as well. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to check out some other Route 250 fighters who have joined the show. Like I mentioned, Hunter Watt several times, Garrett Hirschberger, and of course Nick the Gremlin Lute as well. To support the show, you can download episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, then leave this video a like and make sure you're subscribed to the Forged in Ohio YouTube channel. Also, if you haven't seen it already, Forged in Ohio merch is here. It's now available. You can browse all of our new items, and you can find the link to that store on Instagram and Facebook at Forged in Ohio. As always, I thank you all for watching or tuning in. I've been your host, Jake Murren, and this was Forged in Ohio.